Are we ready? So our next order of business is our revision of our statutes. We've had them for a very long time, and they've needed some revision and getting them into the 21st century. And so I actually, in 2018, brought an ad hoc committee together, which you'll hear about. But I'm going to officially open us up to Agenda Item 9, Amendments to ISRRT Statutes. I asked the Statutes Working Party down along Council Member for the United States to present the motion.
Good afternoon again. Thank you, Madam President, for the honor of chairing this working party. The Statutes Working Party was composed of myself as chair, and then members Pam Black from the United Kingdom, Edward Chan from Hong Kong, and Hester Friedrich Nell from South Africa. My sincere thanks to this members of this working party. All of the members did a wonderful job of reviewing the document, and they provided input in a very timely manner. They were extremely engaged, and I'm appreciative of their efforts in proposing this draft document. A summary of the changes to the statutes was provided to the council members. The proposed changes have been reviewed and suggestions incorporated from the UK solicitors to assure compliance with requirements for UK charitable organizations. The ISRRT board also reviewed the statutes working party report and is in agreement with the proposed changes as written. The ISRRT statutes working party moves adoption of the proposed statutes revision for the current ISRRT statutes.
So a motion has been made to adopt the proposed statute revision for the current statutes. We will reference the marked up document. I will go through the document announcing each article and ask if there's any discussion. If you have any discussion, please reference the line number so that everyone can follow. Once we go through all of the articles, I will ask for one vote on the entire document. Is everybody comfortable? Go ahead.
Yes. Do we need a seconder?
No, we do not need a second because it came from the working party. The motion came from the working party, so no second needed. Okay? So are we ready to go? I want to let you know that the statutes were just changed to make them easier to follow, to actually put the grouping the information together in a more easier manner to flow through it with some updates. Okay, let's begin. Article 1, name. Is there any discussion? Article 2, objectives. Is there any discussion? Article 3, officers. Is there any discussion? Article 4, membership. Is there any discussion? Article 5, definitions. There are 2 pages to this slide. Slide 1, is there any discussion? Slide 2, is there any discussion? Article 6, application for membership. Is there any discussion? Article 7, obligations of membership. Is there any discussion? Article 8, membership fees. Is there any discussion? Article 9, there is 4 slides. Management of ISRRT. First slide, any discussion? Second slide, any discussion? Third slide, any discussion? Fourth slide, any discussion? Article 10, 2 slides on elections. Is there any discussion on the first slide? Article 10, second slide. Is there any discussion on Article 10? Article 11, committees. Is there any discussion? Article 12, records. Is there any discussion? Article 13, expenses. Is there any discussion? Article 14, administration of funds. Is there any discussion? Article 15, removal from membership. Is there any discussion? Article 16, secession of membership. Is there any discussion? Article 17, official language. Is there any discussion? Article 18, electronic meetings and communication. Is there any discussion? Article 19, amendments. Is there any discussion? Article 20, interpretation. Is there any discussion? Article 21, notices. Is there any discussion? Article 22, emergency status, 2 slides. Any discussion on slide 1? Article 22, emergency statutes, slide 2. Any discussion? Article 23, dissolution. Is there any discussion? Okay, one more time. Is there any further discussion on any part of the proposed revision to the statutes? Thank you, Don. Scrutineers, we will need a 3/4 vote on this, so you will be voting on the motion to adopt the proposed revision to the ISRT statutes to replace the current ISRT statutes. Per the current statutes, this requires a 3/4 vote in the affirmative. If there is not a 3/4 vote in the affirmative, the current statutes will remain in place as is. So we will vote together and see if we have a clear 3/4. So all of those in favor of the statutes as revised, hold up their cards, their envelopes. Thank you, Sal. It appears we have a 3/4 majority. So the new revisions for the ISRRT statutes will stand. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Hesta, and thank you, Pam Black. Their work was just unbelievable. You just do not know the amount of work this group put in and the amount of time they put in revising it and bringing it to the board. The board met for about 5 hours on it, came back. They went back, they met so many times. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We have just moved our statutes in the 21st century. This is going to be great. The next order of business is our relations with other organizations. And you have heard some of this already through our reports, and you will hear some of it in the opening session. But it's always important as council members to get some pointed information on what is going on in our organization, what your officers are doing for you when we represent you day to day. So our first one is the World Health Organization. And it's important to note, I talked already about in my president's report that we actually have to have a 3-year collaboration, that we come up with projects together that meet the WHO strategic plan and meets our strategic plan. And then we bring forward ideas to them, and we try to incorporate some of the things that we're doing. When we propose things that we know that our organization needs. And they sometimes bring back things to us and ask us if we would be willing to do something. Maybe they need somebody on a book they're producing. You know, as you know, in my last term, that we actually helped give input to the medical devices for cancer imaging, how to set up a cancer center in a country. There was 30 countries that have no cancer care at all. And because you guys helped with that information, we were able to have the radiographer's voice in there. So you'll see up in front of us that this book was produced, Medical Devices Needed During COVID Pandemic. And so it was the same style of things. Some countries have their radiography governed by the ministers of health. And so they need a budget to know what they should plan for, what do you need during the COVID pandemic and what kind of equipment do you need. And so in the radiology chapters, we were able to give input to, you know, what are the key procedures that are used during the COVID pandemic. We all know that ultrasound was used. We know that CT was used, nuclear medicine, of course, radiography. And so they ask us for the input, what's the minimum equipment you need in order to provide care during the COVID pandemic. So I thank you to Stuart for spearheading this and gathering this information, and the member experts that gave input so we could put that document together. And of course, that document's on the website for the use of chest imaging for COVID-19 that we talked about. And because of you guys, the council members that helped us do our reference guide for the ISRRT, we got the annex chapter in there for the radiographer's voice, and that is what is disseminated through the WHO in all countries. So it's very exciting to have that disseminated. And this is just an example of what the executive board meeting looks like when they meet together. And so of course I was able to tune into that, and Demetrius and I tuned in. And this is where they review our cooperative engagement, and they talk about all the NGO organizations that have official relations with them, and if we met their plan. And so you can see here that we attended that meeting in January, and they have given us our official 3-year non-governmental status, so we are the official voice for radiographers, and we'll be invited to all the international meetings to represent the radiographer voice. And we'll continue to do that for you, member countries, so that your voice is heard at all official stakeholder meetings where they make consensus statements, make strategic plans, and produce documents. We will try to ensure that your voice is always heard. And please, as members, if we are asking you for input, it's because we don't have expertise of the board that we have, and we need that information. And as I said, there's no way to change this. Governments turn around and they say to you, we have 30 days to get this in. They give us 20 days to get the information back to them. We shoot an email to you, and we try to work that information in so that it gets in the document. So when you see sometimes we ask for a short turnaround time, it's not that we're not organized. It's that they are on some timeline where they say, oh, we need your input now. And we never say no. And so as long as we provide information to them, as long as we produce the stuff and report back to them, our voice will always be heard. And then, of course, I want to talk about this. We went to this meeting and Stuart represented us at this meeting 2 years ago. And there was a call for action meeting. They're talking about healthcare workers out there around the world and the shortage of 18 million healthcare workers by 2030, and that we will not have enough. We're feeling it already in my country, in the United States, and I'm sure other people around the world are feeling it. So what happens when you have a shortage? They want you to drop your standards. They want you to let people in and have less education for it. But the ISRRT did not believe that was the answer. They didn't believe that we should be dropping our standards. So we actually talked about developing a document that actually for the campaign that we developed a 4-tier career path where we talked about the strategy of what we believe our career path is. And our strategy is to give math and science education to all people around the world in high school, no matter what their gender is. We need to ensure that all people have math and science, so when you enter our field, you have the right basis to be able to do radiography. And different countries have different education systems within them, but you need that baseline education. And we believe that by producing a 4-tier career path, that will actually get the right, it will stimulate jobs, it will create decent healthcare sector jobs for the right skill set and the right number in countries that are in need. So we don't want to lower our standards to say that because there's a shortage, we should drop our standards. Our technology is too technical and it's advancing and we can hardly keep up with it. And you don't have just basic technology in an underdeveloped country. They have all of the sources we have. And so they need the same thing we do. So there's some strategies out there. Our Facebook Live sessions we've used to actually bring new technology forward and have best practices talked about. We've done it with radiation therapy, we've done it with nuclear medicine, we've done it with interventional to try to talk about the new technologies and share best practices. All of those Facebook Live sessions are on our website under recorded video. You can go to them and re-watch them anytime you want. And the expertise from our members around the world is invaluable. So this is just another project we did. We also did a survey, which we found very interesting. We surveyed our own membership. And I actually talked at the international meetings and we talked about the IAEA and the WHO. They're saying we're gonna have a shortage. What's affecting our shortage? What is happening? Well, we know non-communicable diseases are affecting us. That's on the rise and we need to have social changes. So when you ask why are we doing a tobacco-free, no tobacco day, why do we do that? Well, you know that the younger generation, a social campaign will get them to change their social habits. And so those pictures that you take as we do this, as you incorporate and you help us with that and you take that picture in your country and you put it on your Facebook status or you put it on your Instagram, those things actually get people to do the same thing. And the research shows that if you actually have a social campaign, you can change behavior. So if we can change smoking, that will reduce non-communicable diseases by 25%. So cancer, COPD, emphysema. So those things that are burdening us with universal health care, those things will all change. So interestingly enough, we got reported out from the WHO, the IAEA, all these international organizations about what is the shortage, what is causing the shortage of healthcare workers around the world. And interestingly enough, our own members said the exact same thing that they said. You guys are all up on what's happening. You have the same information. You know what's going on in your countries. And the other thing that happened that was not reported out from them that you guys reported, which was good for us to know, is that COVID caused a delay in clinicals in many countries. So we've had to figure out how to, as a profession, get our students that are coming out in the field to be able to have that clinical that got delayed during the COVID. So it still remains to find out how we'll catch that up, how will that impact our future generation. But if you go to our ISRRT website, this report is right there on the survey and talking about what you, our members, said from all the countries about what's happening with the shortage of healthcare workers. There's also some strategies when the new board comes in under the new leadership. This will continue on, and this is part of our WHO collaborative plan to continue on with this countering this healthcare worker shortage. So we've been working very hard for you with the WHO. IAEA, we don't hold an official MOU with them, but we are an official international voice for any international meeting that happens there. So we're invited to all the global stakeholders meetings. And I will tell you that I was in Geneva in September with the ILO and the WHO, and they held a meeting on occupational radiation protection. And so all the international stakeholders were there. We were there, ISR is there, ICRP was there, and then some other groups were there as well. And we were asked to be in a keynote session on medicine and present on behalf of the radiographers. And we were the only radiographer organization there. So as you can see, when you join us and you help us with your membership, we are putting that to important use. The outcome came at that meeting for strategies to counter occupational radiation protection. And it was interesting to hear that when we spoke and we presented on behalf of you, that people listened to what we had to say, because we've done the research, we've done the information from you, and we can present on behalf of ourselves. We know what we need for occupational radiation protection as radiographers. We don't need the radiologist or the physicist to tell us what we need. We know how to protect ourselves. And so we were at that meeting and presented in the medicine meeting, and then also in the continual professional development education session. And you can see here also we attended Napapong, Stuart and I attended the technical meeting for developing effective methods for radiation protection education and training. And this is invited where stakeholders are brought together to talk about, is radiation protection education standardized? Are we teaching the same thing around the world? And what came out is that some parts of the world don't have the same access as other parts, and that we need to use non-traditional ways to provide that education. Some people are lacking physicists, some people are lacking educators. And so that came back to our board, and our board decided to develop a 4-module training package on the basics of radiation protection. Now, not every country may need that, but there are countries out there that may not have a physicist or an educator that can teach that course. And so you can use that e-learning that's on the ISRRT to get the basics. And the new board will come back, and they're talking about doing a more advanced radiation protection course to go on the e-learning to continue on this. And they may use some of our new traditions. Napa has some great ideas coming in as your next president. If you have no objections for him, he has some really great ideas for continuing on with the Facebook Live. We have wonderful experts around the world. So we will continue to go to these international meetings, represent your voice, and speak the voice for radiographers and radiologic technologists. So it's important for us to be at the technical meetings that are put on by the WHO and the IAEA, so the documents produced have our voice in them. Also, Stuart spearheaded a wonderful project on safety culture that has been a strategic plan of the WHO, and it's one of their strategic agenda items. And so he had, some of you guys from around this table have participated in it, some of our board members, and they wrote that response guideline for medical imaging departments and radiation therapy departments on how to have a safe culture. And we worked with the IAEA to produce a webinar to talk about that guideline and to actually talk about the traits that are needed. So people that make mistakes in their jobs, we work in radiology, mistakes will happen. We need to be able to report them without feeling that there's punitive damage with it. And that only happens if you have a safe culture. And so this book that we have on our website can be used to download and teach people about how to have a safe and just culture, how to report near misses, how to report when an accident happens, how to revisit it without having punitive information happening. So you can raise the standard within your country, within your departments, so that you can all work together. And so this is something that we did. And again, I thank this group because we turned around that document in about 1 month for the COVID pandemic, and the nuclear medicine section was wrote in it. And we have some great experts that helped with that nuclear medicine chapter in our safety guidelines during the COVID pandemic. And because we had that, when we were asked by the IAEA that we need, do you happen to know what we should be doing for nuclear medicine? I said, oh yeah, I have it right here. I'm happy to be on that committee. Let's use our document. And they incorporated all of our stuff that we put in there. It only happened because you guys, when we called out to you, what's happening in your country, what are you doing in nuclear medicine? And so this COVID pandemic technical guides for nuclear medicine, we are involved and our name is on that book. So available through the IAEA, and that's just a little bit about what we've been doing. And then I told you earlier a little bit about, Elaine talked about, I kept him so busy. But look at that beautiful image he has for our organization, how professional it looks, and 27 of those that he's put together as we've actually been working through these Facebook Live sessions. And when I went to the RSNA this year, and we talked about World Patient Safety Day, it's part of our collaborative plan that we will do a webinar on World Patient Safety Day. The WHO comes out with a theme around January, and we try to pick the theme related to radiology. And we try to incorporate patient safety related to our own field into World Patient Safety Day. And then because we've had so much success with our Facebook Live sessions, we actually, the ISR said that they would be happy to work with us. And so our last World Patient Safety Day, Dr. Fresh worked with us, and we had speakers come in and talk about it. And then of course we did our shielding webinar together. And when we went to the meeting, the Quality Alliance meeting, and when we showed our images from the No Tobacco Day and our Facebook Live sessions, everybody just perked up and were very interested in working with us. So the image that we've elevated our profession to has made the difference in our global stakeholders wanting to work with us. So I appreciate, and that has only happened because we have quality experts from around the world that share their best practices. So we couldn't do these Facebook Live sessions without you guys, the members of our organization that give of your best practice, share on our panel discussions, and share your best practice from your country so other countries can bring that back to here internationally and adapt locally. So we're working with the ISR, and we are again going to work together for the World Patient Safety Day in September, talking possibly about having the physicists, radiologists, and physicists, radiographers and radiologic technologists and the radiologists maybe all do a webinar together. And so that will be under the new direction of our new president, and possibly doing a follow-up Facebook Live session or a new type of platform where we talk about shielding some more. There's so much more that needs to be talked about with shielding. So many more best practices and information that needs to be shared around the world. So you can see a little bit of what is happening there. And we had not been involved with the ICRP, the International Commission of Radiation Protection, and that's the organization that researches and looks at the amount of radiation that's being used. And this is generally radiologists and physicists that work in this organization, and it's called the Committee 3. And what they do is they produce these annual reports. And so the annual reports are actually produced, and then the IAEA reviews those, and they produce global standards that their member states adhere to. And those are the basic safety practices. And then documents for training and incorporating them into your departments are produced underneath those, and then education is produced underneath this. So the annual reports are kind of the top thing that happens in the world, and that if you can get on that committee for medicine, that's the Committee 3. And the way to get on that is to get on a task force. A task force produces these annals, and it's a lot of work. And you're asked to sit on a committee and help write these chapters. You co-write. I wrote with two radiologists, and so I wrote one chapter and I wrote half of the other chapter. And then the radiologist critiqued what I was doing on my QC chapter, inputted stuff, and then the radiologist on the other chapter wrote the radiologist continuing professional development. I wrote the radiographer, and we both wrote the physicist side, working with our information from that. So 8 revisions later, this is about ready to go out for public comment. It went to Committee 3 in Vancouver in November, and they're reviewing it, and we will see if they accept our revisions as is. What happens with the annals report is they're produced, and there's a page on there that you go to and you watch when these are being open for public comment. Our Director of Professional Practice, Stuart Woodley, just reviewed a 108-page document on radiation protection in radiography, CT, and digital imaging. And so we asked for input from that and asked people to review it. Vicki went through the whole document and made sure that the radiographer's voice was appropriate in there. When I was working with this document, I worked with them to talk to them about calling us the right term. And when they talked about justification, the beginning part of the book talked about the radiologist being justification. And I brought it back and said, no, that's not how it is. And then I said, we need to use the team approach to justification. So I rewrote that section and submitted it back in, and then that is in the book. So you see how if you are at the table and you get asked to be on a committee and you produce the work, you get asked again. So if you're an expert in an area and you have a lot of time and are interested in helping with this, you may be asked to a task force that comes up that we may not have the expertise and we may need someone to do this. The more that we do these well, then you can get nominated to be on a committee and then up to the level 3. But as of now, we don't have that technologist sitting on there. But I believe in my time. I believe in our next president's time, that I think we can get there. I think we have the right expertise in our organization to help us get there. And so we've done this, and then another thing that's happened with ICRP that has never happened before is we've been asked to give lectures now in their workshops. So they produce an annals report, and then they disseminate it and they educate people. And so Stuart Whitley presented for us on the digital radiography and the radiographer's voice in that journal and talking about that. So you can see how we're working to ensure that your voice is heard at these international meetings. And the ISRRT, we have a MOU with them that we come to their meeting and we have an opportunity to showcase our organizations, our member societies from around the world, and they're called ISRRT meets. So in my term as president, we had ISRRT, they sometimes let us have 2 organizations and sometimes have only let us have 1. So when we were able to have 2, we had ISRRT meets Singapore, ISRRT meets Canada. This last year, they only gave us 1. And so we had ISRRT meets ASRT. And now for this coming up year in March, we have ISRRT meets India. And what we do is we talk about the curriculum, the education and the technology and the continuing professional development about what is happening in your country. And they usually have the radiologist physician side and the technologist side. And so it's a really great opportunity in Europe to be able to share this. And so we work real closely with them on this project. We also invite them to participate in our special editions. We started a new project where we try to do a public relations campaign to educate medical professionals and the public on what we do as the medical imaging team. And we always invite ECR to actually participate in that and ISRRT. And so you can see we collaborate with them really well. And we have been on the RSNA Associated Science Consortium since 2008, and this is the workshops that happen at the RSNA for the technologists. And so what we were asked is Sharon Mortonby, my regional director of the Americas, was my liaison, so she sat on that committee. And what they do is they produce a 2-day workshop that lasts 2 full days, and ISRRT provides a speaker and a topic, and we're along with other, I think it's 13 organizations that put this on. And so we're asked in September to bring a topic forward for the next year. And so last year we talked about shielding. It's so very, very important in our field. And our Vice President of Asia, Australasia, actually was one of our speakers, Napapong, and Dr. Pergola from the ASRT. The ASRT has a fantastic task force that is putting out shielding information, and anybody in any country that actually does not have access to information on shielding and needs something for their patients or for their radiographers, radiologic technologists in the field, it's a great resource. Just go to their website, it's right there, it's downloadable, there's a video, there's posters. So, you know, our member societies actually contribute to helping us work together as global organizations. There's a lot of great information out there. So these two people spoke at that meeting, and as I can say, we had physicists there, we had radiologists there, we had technologists there, and we all had very different opinions on shielding and what should be happening and who should be doing what. And I tell you what, our two technologists really stood up for us well, because we had physicists that tried to hijack the question and answer session and bring it around to them, and our speakers did a great job of representing us and telling us that we can represent ourselves. We don't need our other profession to educate us and tell us what to do. We know how to do that ourselves, and we have the information. And what is really great about this society is memberships with all the expertise, because we have all the resources we need. If a country doesn't have something, another member society has it, and they share. And so because of that, we can always be in the forefront and be in the limelight for ourselves. And it makes me really proud to be involved. And it's why this board and myself, we all work so hard, is because we really believe that we can be our own leaders. We don't need anybody else leading us. So just the RSNA Associated Consortium, we're obligated to do that. Next year's meeting, we have brought forward theranostics, because that's a big topic and new technology that's happening in the field of medical imaging with treatment and radiotheranostics and radiation therapy and nuclear medicine. All this is happening. And so next year we have speakers coming in for us to provide on that subject. So you can see that we have very, very technical and very, very basics. There's all kinds of subjects happening at that. So that is an update on where we're at with Associated Science. And then we work real closely with the World Radiography Education Trust Fund. This trust fund originated from the ISRRT in the very early days, and they used to donate books to countries that were in need. And they have moved forward a little bit in the work that they were doing, and they are now providing bereavements where they allow somebody to actually go to a meeting and learn about some education. The ISRT was donated some money from the Chesney sisters. They were very actively involved in the early days of the ISRT, and they donated part of their wheel to us. And we gave some of this money through the World Trust Fund, so they're able to do some bereavements for people in developing countries to attend meetings and to actually be able to bring education back to their countries. But they do this special day for students, and it's called World Radiography Student Day. They've been doing it for about 3 years, and it's always on in November, and they always ask us to participate. And so as president, I participated all 3 years, and some of our board members had participated. Nakapam participated with me. You can see Denise participated. And so they have these ambassadors that develop projects, and they put things together, and then they come together and they try to provide this education. So we believe that no matter what is going out there, we should be supportive of the work that's happening, and so we always participate in this. And we also, according to our bylaws, we ratify their new board members. So if someone's nominated for their board, it comes to our board to be approved under the bylaws that are currently there. So that's just one of our external organizations that we work with. And then of course, the ISRRT is one of our regional collaborators that we've been working with. And I have to thank the ISRRT because they have a very, very advanced education system. And when we were in the middle of COVID and we were trying to produce something quickly, we needed to get a response document together, and we were trying to get some education together. So we asked Peter Hogg and Ken Holmes to take this project on for us to actually produce a webinar, because nobody really knew way back when in 2020 what to do with this COVID and what you needed to do. Was it droplet? Was it air? You know, way back then it was everybody was staying home, nobody was doing anything, but we were all still needing to go to work. So about 40 educators came together in 30 days and produced this webinar, and it is fabulous. And so I'm sure that we will need to update it in a year or so, but we collaborated together to produce this document and then to provide this education. And I want to tell you how far reaching this was. We produced this one with ISRRT, and then I have some wonderful board members. Tim produced the one for CT. We did a radiation therapy one, and we did an ultrasound one. And those are the primary areas that were being used during COVID. And what happened, we had 113 countries access this webinar, and 144,000 people use this e-learning platform to review it. So you can see how, as collaborators, when you work together, you can actually produce something that can be far-reaching and available. So if you are looking for other information, the radiation protection one is on our e-learning, and also there's a digital one on there. So we're continuing to evolve our e-learning platform. It's in the newest stage. We only have so much money per year to spend on that. But as we find other avenues, you will find other ways to do this. So I'm very grateful for our collaboration with the ISRRT. And then of course, you will know that when you guys hear this, I have this in my opening speech too. So of course, when we were working with AI and all the companies are coming out with AI and talking about that they're gonna take over things. And I don't know about you, but I work in PET-CT. And they're telling us that we don't need radiographers, we'll just have someone put them on the table and you can run it for whatever. So there's a lot of things happening with AI. And so there was a lot of research out there from the radiologists, but not much from the radiographers. And so we collaborated with the ISRRT to produce a task force to develop a consensus statement on what the radiographer's role is in AI. And it's just the beginning steps. We have the document on our website. We collaborated. Hakan was my chairman, along with the chairman from the ISRRT, and they worked together with their team to produce this, and then to develop some information to go into some peer review journals. And now I'm happy to say, because we began this work, this will continue on, but we are now seeing more and more research in the radiographer, radiologic technologist world. And if you're looking for research to do something, AI is something where we need to have our own research. I applaud the council members for opening up and creating the new membership category for universities, for the IAN, because the WHO has a strategic agenda where they want research. Everybody's asking for research. And as radiographers, we need to propel ourselves more into research. It doesn't matter if you're in an academic center or if you're in a clinical setting. Any kind of research is important, so we represent ourselves. So I actually thank the ISRRT for collaborating with us on this, and we have our consensus document. We've published it in the peer review journal, and we will continue to look for projects to work together. And again, we work with the ISRRT on our special edition. They always put an article in, and we were so lucky this year to actually on MR safety, because our special edition this year for World Radiography Day was on patient safety and the radiographer's role. And we're so lucky to have some radiographer MR specialist from Denmark actually put an article together for us. And so the ISRRT and the ISRRT co-authored that article, and I'm very excited to have that opportunity. So you can see we work together with our regional partners and with our international partners, and a lot of things are happening, and we're working hard to represent your voice, but excited about that opportunity. And I think that was all I had. So at this time, if anybody has any questions, I would try to answer them. Okay, so okay, I just want to take a moment. I've been involved in the ISRRT for 18 years, 6 members as a council member, and now 12 years on the board. And it's a great organization, and I love this organization. And I think the ISRRT has a long tradition of honoring its president. I'm very grateful for how you guys are so wonderful to me and honor our president. But you know, success of a board leadership really only happens when its board members are engaged, strategic, and hardworking. and value the same ISRT vision. And so successful boards have to be vested in completion of work that's needed to accomplish the goals. And you've just heard from the reports from this board what they have done. And I'm actually humbled and honored to have the privilege to have served with these guys. This is a great group of leaders that you guys have elected, and I'm gonna cherish their friendship, their discussion, our meetings, and our work that we produced over the last 4 years. And I know that their involvement has influenced change, impacts change, and created change in healthcare around the world. So as your current president, I thought it would be great for us to begin a new tradition. I wanna take a few minutes, my board doesn't actually know this, but I wanna take a few minutes to honor them. We honor the president in the closing ceremony. And I think that you people you elect this board. And I wanted to take some time to honor my board and the board that you elected and just talk a tiny bit about their portfolio and what they've done and give them just an award for the service that they've done for you guys. As you can see how busy they've worked. And I know that when I talk to you, it will really just be a snippet of what their portfolio is. And I know their term doesn't end until the end of the World Congress, but if you don't mind, let's take a moment to honor this board and the work they've done, if you guys could indulge me before we move on to the election process. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Hakan, can you join us? Now Hakan was brand new on the board, and this was his first term. He is my best board member I've ever worked with. He responded to every email. He did every bit of work, every review of every 120-page document that was out there. When I asked him, we should do a project with the ISRRT, do you want to chair it? He goes, how about AI? I go, yeah, why don't you chair that? Let's have you do that. And no matter what I asked him to do, he did it. And so I needed him to fill in for me at the ECR meeting because I couldn't get off of work. I needed him to actually attend a meeting. I needed an article produced in a day. He did that work, and you heard about his portfolio. But what I'm gonna say to you is you are lucky he's still on the ballot because he's gonna do great things for you guys over the next 4 years, and I thank him for his term. I didn't tell him I was gonna do this. Terry, can you join us, please? Now, Terry, he's kind of a no-nonsense guy, black and white. But man, is he a hard worker. I needed someone to write a chapter for the Portugal Society they needed for some book. And I said, Terry, can you write that chapter for me? Well, I don't know what I can write about. And I said, well, let me give you some stuff here. And so then what does he do? He just whips out that chapter. And then we needed someone to do the work for the call for action on the shortage of healthcare workers. And I said, Demetrius, I need you to take on this project. Let's get Terry to do that with you. And I said, I need it right away. Can you guys put that survey together right away? I need it very quickly. So the two of them met a few times, got the survey together, put it on our website, got it out, and had everything they needed. The IAEA needed someone in nuclear medicine, and I can't be gone from my job. I'm a on the floor technologist. I can only be gone so much, or I won't have a job when I'm done being a volunteer. And so I said, Terry, you're nuke med, can you go for me? He went not once, he went twice, and he got our voice in the documents for nuclear medicine. I'm so proud of the work that you've done. He's held us to the ground on making us fiscally responsible. He calls us on the carpet if something doesn't look right. And he has just been a fabulous board member. And I thank you for your years that you've given us, and it's been an honor to serve you. Over here too. Okay, for those of you that may or may not know, Sharon's one of my best friends, and fortunately for she got on the board the same time I did. It was great. And many of you guys may not know this about me is I have all wonderful, great ideas, but I need someone to review my writing so my grammar is correct, my spelling's right. And so one of the jobs I have as president is to serve on the News and Views committee to review the editing. Well, I wouldn't be good at that.
Yeah.
Demetrius, English is his second language. So of course, who do you ask to do something when it's not your strong suit? What are your good friends? So I said, Sharon, I need you to sit on the News and Views committee and read that and find the errors. And so she said, sure, Donna, no problem. And besides doing that, every single piece of information I put out either goes to her or to Stuart, and they review it, and they correct my edits, and then they send it back and say, how about this word instead? Oh, you forgot the comma there. And so just for that aspect about it, I thank you, because she made me look good, and she made our organization look good. But she also has expertise in bone densitometry. You may or may not know, she's wrote both of the books in the United States for bone densitometry, the Barrels and the Bontrager, and she actually has helped write the test for bone densitometry for the international ISRRT. And so she's our expert. And so when you never say no to somebody, when they ask you to produce a position statement, you get somebody that wants to produce something, you pull that expertise in. And so we were so lucky to have Sharon on our board to help get our position statement right and to do our QC document on that. And she has served as our liaison for the Associated Science so that we get good speakers there and come up with good ideas. And so I thank you for your friendship, and I thank you for the work you've done on our board. So, you know, a leader only looks good if they have a great board. Stuart, can you join us? So many of you guys know that Stuart used to be our treasurer, and then he stepped into the director of professional practice. And I'm going to tell you, I was director of professional practice, but Stuart set the standard so high, it's going to be hard to ever achieve the standard he set. He was with my right-hand man and went to every meeting I couldn't go to with the WHO relating to professional practice, and he went to a lot of meetings online in the middle of the night, early in the morning, and he always did the work to represent us. He always made us look good. And more than that, Stuart was my second set of eyes. Sharon and Stuart checked everything. They checked everything I wrote. They helped me make it look good. They checked the news and views when we needed help. They did all this extra work. I couldn't have been successful in my presidential career without you, Stuart. And he's an amazing man. And besides the beautiful friendship we formed, he has just done outstanding work for you. And he's had put us at the higher level when COVID was happening. He told them in the first meeting, you need the radiographer, because I sent him to that meeting to tell him to represent us. And he told Dr. Perez, you're not talking about the radiographers, we're the one doing the x-rays, we should be in the documents. You don't have us in the documents. And he told her, we need to be on that meeting. And so he got us on our first committee meeting. And then when we were in the ICRT, he read that 108 page book and gathered the information and put the information back. And then they asked him to actually do the workshop with them and talk about the radiographer's voice. So you can see the high standard these people serve for you and the work that they are doing. And it's tireless hours. For Stuart, you're supposed to, he's retired. And he's supposed to be off on the weekend, but I work during the week and I'm off on the weekend, so I'm always calling him in the morning, 7 hours different. I need to have a meeting with you. We need to do this. Can we go over this? Can you help me write this? Will you look at this? I need it by tomorrow. I need it in 2 days. And he just always does everything. And I'm so proud to have served with him. And you have set the standard high. And I thank you for everything. And I thank you for the friendship. I'm kind of a softie. Elaine, can you join me up here? Now, Elaine, I don't know if he knew what he was getting himself into when he decided to be the public relations person for this organization. I remember sitting with him after he was elected in the airport and him talking about, Donna, we need a professional image, but I gotta have a budget. I said, how much do you need? I said, I'll get it for you. Tell me what you need, we'll make it happen. And that was the beginning of a beautiful movement to make us have a professional image, and it's been fabulous. And I have to say, Elaine has done amazing things. 27 Facebook Lives, posters. He's done our No Tobacco Day posters 3 years in a row, our World Radiography Day posters. He revamped our news and views to give it a more updated look. And Elaine is the same way. So sometimes what happens when you have a Facebook Live is you can't get speakers, and then you find somebody or someone says that they want to do something, but they can only, Dr. Fresh, I can only do it on this day. It's a week and a half away. Can you make it work? And then I call Elaine, can I get that poster right away? And he's like, yeah, I'll get that to you in 2 days. And so then up he comes with a poster and takes care of everything. So I appreciate your professionalism. I appreciate Elaine's knowledge. Elaine is quiet, but when he speaks, it's meaningful. When he says something in a board meeting, we know we should pause and hear what he has to say, because he has a lot of knowledge and background and expertise from being in the field for a long time, and I truly respect you. I feel lucky to have served with you on this board. I feel lucky to have developed a wonderful friendship with you, and I'm excited that you will keep him on the board. He's going to do great things from you. It'll be a different position, but he is a phenomenal board member, and we're lucky to have him, and I thank you for the last 4 years. Philippe is an amazing man, and he really understands how to make sure that our dollar goes as far as it can go. He doesn't believe we need anything fancy. He believes we can stay at very budget hotels, and he has pushed us to make our dollar go the farthest it can possibly go. He calls us when we're thinking about doing something, we can't afford that, and he'll come up with a new plan that's more economical and feasible. But what I really, really respect you for more than your treasury is your historical background in our profession. He understands this organization, he's been around a long time, and he knows what we've done in the past. He has begun the work that's happened in Africa with the workshops. He brings them back and forth, and it's amazing to hear what he's done for radiographers around the world just by being involved in producing a workshop. He can figure out how to stretch that dollar as far as it can go, get speakers to come and help out to do those things, and provide education to more places in the world. And I want to say it's like 17 workshops, how many workshops, 17? Like a lot of workshops. Yeah, yes. And so it's amazing when you have someone that has passion and believes in making a difference in your profession, and they do it from the heart. And Philippe has that. I have just loved the friendship that has evolved. I love his knowledge. I look to him when I need to know something historic or what we should be doing. He is very, very knowledgeable, and I feel lucky to have served with you, Philippe. And I thank you for your work. And I want you to know that you guys are lucky to have him continue on. He will be sure that we stretch that dollar as far as we can and do not overspend and only spend your money on good projects. So I actually think that we will be lucky to keep him on the board. So thank you for your 4 years.
I can't put in a hand language.
I didn't tell him about this. So Tim was new on the board, brand new, coming on. I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into. So right away, he's Demetrius's friend, and I say, do you think Tim will help me with this survey? We need to find out what our members are doing. Can you just whip this survey together with Tim? So the two of them put this survey together. We surveyed them to find out what was happening with our radiographers right when you started. That took tons of time. He wrote up a report for us so we knew what direction we should be going as an organization. And then COVID pandemic happened. And I want to tell you that Greece was very progressive. They were moving ahead. They had been meeting. And they had some very, very profound ideas that we brought forward. And Tim brought those ideas forward to us so that we would know what to do as an organization. And he helped write the chapter on CT. And when we produced the co-production with the ISRRT, at the same time, we had CT, we had ultrasound, we had radiotherapy, we had nuclear medicine, all these areas that still needed education themselves. And so we had just finished all that other work, and I said, Tim, can you just whip out a webinar for me? It shouldn't take too long. And I said, we just really need this done. Will you help? So he works 2 jobs. He teaches, and he has children that are in school. So you can imagine that he has been very busy, but it's very hard to say no. And he has done great work. He's represented us at ISRRT. He's done webinars for us. He's wrote for us for the special edition. And you've been a fabulous board member. And I really appreciate getting to know you. And I appreciate all your work. He did the QC document on CT that's on our website for anybody that needs to know what to do for guidelines for QC. You've done fabulous work over this 4 years, and you guys will be lucky to keep him on the board. He is a great worker, and I thank thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys. So many of you guys may not know, but Udupon was appointed. We were in trouble and we needed a new director of education quickly. And Napa actually said, I know someone that will help us. And boy, I don't think Udupon knew what he was getting himself into when he said yes. I think you've enjoyed it, but I have the most respect for you. I have been in this organization for 18 years and have been a council member. And we have brought up continuous times a definition for radioactive technologists, and we could not come to a consensus on what the term should be. And Udupon, of course, spent all the time researching what was happening in all our countries in the world and had the data right there for us. And I think because that data was there, as council members, you were able to come to a consensus and find what would be the best definition for most of the world. And I think because we have that definition in the work you did, we now can go to IEEA and we go to WHO and we can say we want this term used. And you know what? By gosh, if we're lucky, when the basic safety standards come around again for revision, we can change that term to our term. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's one of the hugest highlights of my career, that you did that work. And you guys may not know this, but he's our IT guy behind everything. And so you get asked to do a Facebook Live session, you send your recording to him, he makes it look seamless. I have been on 26 of the 27 episodes. We've had 2 glitches in 26 episodes I've been on, and they lasted about 3 seconds. And he has these computers set up all over in his office, and you don't even know what happened. He makes you sound great, he sings it together, it feels like you're actually presenting live. He makes everything go well. He has a document for anybody that's doing the Facebook Live. He goes over the panel discussion, so your IT skills are invaluable. They're very, very invaluable. And I have to give credit to him for the Tobacco Day information. We came with this idea for No Tobacco Day, and he came back with his students for the first time, came up with an idea of his students in their World Tobacco Day on the first year, and they produced something. And then the next year we came back with a picture poster. And man, can you believe how many people that has hit? How many 300,000 people we've hit over the last 3 years, and how many people we may have impacted, how many young people may not pick up a cigarette or may put it down just from doing the picture. And so your vision for coming in when you were just appointed is phenomenal. I know he's in our election, and I thank you for what you've done now. And I'm so grateful for you on our board, and I feel so blessed and honored to have served with you. So I've known Chef Wee now for a long time because she's been involved for a long time, but man, does she work hard. Being a radiation therapist and on our board, she's pulled into everything because we don't have as many expertise around for that. And so COVID pandemic happened, and what do? We asked her, can you write that chapter on the guidelines? So she collected the information and wrote it. And then we're doing the safety culture guidelines. Do you think you could write that chapter for the safety culture guidelines? We don't have an expert in that area, and she just wrote it. We needed expertise on World Patient Safety Day, and she helps with that. So she is just that person that works all the time and just is quiet and does the work and participates and never says no. I don't know how she has time, because she has a son and she works in a radiation therapy department, so you know she's busy because it's frontline work. And I thank her for this work. I thank you for your friendship. I feel lucky to have served with you. I've known you for a very, very long time. And this organization is going to be lucky to keep you on that board. She has some visions that she wants to bring us forward with, to bring radiation therapy more entwined with ISRRT. And I think great things are going to happen under her leadership. And so I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for your work. And it's been an honor to serve with you. I've known Boniface for a very long time. He served when I was director of professional practice and did a great job when I worked with him. And then he came on the board, and he's been a great board member. He actually has helped do our workshops in the WHO and been our liaison with the regional WHO. They are working on trying to get universal health care in Africa right now and doing a survey that we needed to get out, and he helped gather the experts from around the country to answer the survey and help to implement what they're trying to do. So the work he's been doing has been invaluable for the organization. I appreciate it. He has a lot of expertise in technical information, and he is a great speaker and has spoke for us many times. And so I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate the work you're doing, and I mostly appreciate the work you're doing in Africa to elevate healthcare around the world and bring those workshops into places that need it the most. Thank you for always coordinating, organizing, putting the performers together, and actually advocating for everybody and bringing the information back so ISRRT is heard all over Africa. I appreciate your friendship and I appreciate your work. I know I'm doing good so far. Napa and I have been friends for a very long time. I've served with him for a very, very, very long time. And Napa has also been my right-hand man. If I can't get to an ISRRT meeting, he spoke in Cape Town for us. If I can't get to an ISRRT meeting, he goes. You know, he has that scientific background. He has that presence of humanitarian effort. He can speak commonly to people so that they feel comfortable with you. Anytime I can't be at a meeting, he has been there, and I appreciate that. He has been that person that has made us look great. I want you to know that he has so much respect from the physics community, from the radiologist community, and I feel lucky. I feel lucky that he have served with you. I feel lucky that he has made us look good. He has brought us in the forefront in organizations that I can't get us there. He has that respect level with the physicists that you just can't draw that in. They can't argue with him. They can't counter him. He is a physicist. So when he says something, he knows what he's talking about, and they can't use their little sly, whatever they do to try to say, you're a technologist, you don't know what you're doing. He'll call him on the carpet. And I just appreciate that. And I appreciate all that he's done. He's been with me at the IAA meetings. He's presented for us. And when someone can't go just at the last minute, he'll go, oh, whip that talk together. It just take me a day. And I'll be like, a day? It takes like 40 hours to put a talk together. What are you talking about? He just whips it out. And he really did an outstanding job for us at RSNA. I have enjoyed my friendship with you. I feel lucky to have served beside you on this board. And I think he's going to be a great president for you guys. And
Thank you.
okay, thank you guys for letting me do that. I did not tell my board about that. I hope this tradition continues because as a leader, the only way you're good is if you have a great board. And I had an outstanding board, and we have had a great 4 years because of the work they've done. They've worked really hard for you, and I thank you for letting me take a moment to honor them. Give me a second. Just give me 5 minutes to get organized. I moved my paper. Okay, you guys, I'm sorry, it's 5 o'clock, so we have to be done for today. And so we have our elections left, and we have our update from this World Congress, and we have our announcement of our new bid for 2026 tomorrow. And so I guess we will adjourn for today, and we will come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. We need everybody to come back, and we need you to bring your ballots back. Should we turn them in so that they are here and then hand them back out again? Please do not take your ballots with you. Let's bring them back up to this table and put them here, and then we'll hand them back out so that we make sure we have to have a quorum so that we can do elections. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay, so go ahead and just bring your ballots. So we will adjourn for today, and we will see you tomorrow.
sekali aja udah cukup sekali aja udah ngetuk ini nggak usah saya ngomong motor itu motor dah sah aja untung ini di SMP pari-pari udah denger nih didengerin kan karena kita kemudahan ya di sini ini
Yes, with handed ballot backhand, so I could do it.